welcome. This is episode 288 of Sports on the Hill podcast. Just testing a couple things real quickly to make sure that we are live on all the different platforms. You can find us at twitch.tv/Robbie G SportsOTHP. So we're live over there. We are also, I believe, live on our Facebook Live page. I'm just going to double check to make sure we are, and it is. So that's awesome. So welcome to all the people that are listening on the audio side as well, or on YouTube after the fact. We've got a live, exciting episode 288, Caps and Wizards live games and recaps. Commanders lost to the Vikings. So a bit of a misery Monday for us, but we'll talk about it. Luckily, in the games that are live right now, things are going pretty well. Right now, the Wizards are outscoring the Hornets 98-89 with 1 minute and 57 seconds left in the game. So we'll keep our eye on that. I know that basketball won't be until the final segment of tonight's show, but we'll be doing live scoring updates on that. Also, Dylan Strome potted a beautiful goal in the Edmonton Oilers game, and that is the only goal in the first period, 1-0 Capitals. It is currently in the intermission of that game. We'll be breaking down all the Capitals games, losses from this week with Anna Knox in 1 second. We'll also be talking about the rough up and down week for the Wizards, but hopefully it's ending on a high note. And the Hornets just missed a 3-point shot. The Wizards are coming up with the basket again. They are up 98-89, 145 left in that. But we'll bring in Anna now as my co-host for the hockey segment this week. And I know that you've been sick with COVID. I also had COVID this season of Sports on the Hill podcast, so I know how it is. How are you feeling, and how are you doing?
I'm feeling much better, thank you. I definitely feel like last week I was.
For some reason you're still muted on my end. I know it doesn't say you're muted. Try
Oh,
clicking the mute and unmute again.
sure. How's that?
That's so weird. Oh yeah, there you go. Sorry,
Okay. Double muted.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I may have also muted one of my my ends too. So I think I wasn't hearing you, but I didn't see the fluctuation. But either way, you're live now, and that's all that really matters. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm live and I'm alive. Thank God. 'Cause
It's
I
good.
tell you, COVID, what a bitch. I
Yeah.
just I really felt like I was in another dimension for a good 12 hours, 18 hours or so. I over that Halloween, I had great plans to do stuff, and then no, everything. I was in bed and was sleeping, and like I told Gil last night, I said I had one of those where you wake up and you're just like, where am I? Who am I? What day is it? What year is it?
Yeah, it's crazy how it just knocks you out. Like, I
Yeah.
understand that people are like, "Oh, it's just another flu," or whatever, whatever. I
No.
never felt like that. I felt like I got run over by a truck, and it's crazy is everyone feels it differently. Some people have no symptoms. Like even my mother-in-law, who I gave it to, had wildly different symptoms than I did, which and she
Yeah.
got it from me. So I thought that maybe different variants would have different symptoms. That could make sense or whatever. But no, the exact same thing could hit everybody completely differently. And so
Yeah. And then I
um
found out that Gil's wife got it today.
she got it
I was like,
today.
yeah, I guess she came home from work and tested positive, and I thought, oh man, because he was like me, we held out, we did not have it for 2 years, and we're like, okay, we did everything we were supposed to do with the obsessive hand washing and the masks and this and that, and then, it got me, um, most likely at school, I'm assuming, and then, yeah, and then he made a joke yesterday, like he sneezed or something. He's like, oh, I think I'm gonna catch, hopefully I'm not catching what you have. And then sure enough, she came home and tested positive. I was like, oh, the worst.
Yeah. So I totally, yeah, it was bad. And then I lost my memory for a week or two. And even still to this day, I have some fuzzy days. It's not completely gone, It's one of those things that
Oh, did we
anyway,
just score?
we did. We did just score.
Yay!
That's awesome.
Uh,
Is it Dylan Strome
it's
again?
Dylan
Yeah.
Strome.
Yeah, so Dylan Strom right in front of the net.
God.
So we're still in the power play going into the second period, which I guess I failed to mention. But good time to talk about. Dylan Strom, right at the front of the net, a deflection and a goal at 1934 and in the
Nice.
second. So just a couple of seconds in, and that sort of ends the power play there. But yeah, on 10 shots, we now have 2 goals. So that's a big goal score. We'll do our goal command that we have in Twitch. Thank you everyone for joining us. I saw Carly Sings just resubscribed, and so I really appreciate her as always for 19 months. She's my longest subscriber, so thank you, Carly. I really appreciate it. That's kind of crazy. We've been friends for 19 months. That's nuts. It's gone by
I
so
love it.
quick. The Wizards are up 104 to 94 with 45 seconds left, so things are going well. I was going to be like so ho-hum, but I was like, please, one of these games go well, because it's gonna be a rough podcast otherwise. So
No doubt.
Dylan Strum with his 4th goal of the season very early in the second period makes it 2-0. The Hornets did just score, make it 105 to 96. I'm going to stick with the Wizards game just for the last 45 seconds of the game. I know
You have
Caps
to.
fans are being like, oh, what? It's Caps time. I'm like, yeah. But like, there's 33 seconds left. And so
Yeah.
they fouled us. We're going to go to the line to shoot 2. Again, we're up 105 to 96. The Wizards, that is, if you're a Capitals fan. And we're shooting 2 free throws. But while we shoot 2 free throws, Anna, let people know, I know you were on the Power Play Point podcast this week. Can you let people know real quickly what you guys talked about on this week's show while I shared this to some different Caps groups?
Absolutely. So Gil and I had a very we'll say it was a very colorful episode. We did not hold back on our disappointment, and we used the words pissed off quite often, I have to admit, and some other colorful verbiage in there from me. Just about how we are just, we had a very frustrating week as a Caps fan, and that it's okay to feel that way. It's not always going to be perfect and yay and rock the red. Sometimes you're just going to sit back and be like, what the hell? And what is going on with this team with the amount of injuries? My God, like, what do you do with it? But instead of
I think we have 9 of our starting 18 out potentially. That's half the team. And people want to blame the goalies. I'm like, the goalies are still only letting 2 or 3 in. Like, you're losing half of your team.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just truly like we could have really focused on, the injuries and, what we're missing and whatever. But it was like, no, hold on a second. We have other players that are ready and maybe younger, maybe faster, maybe more skilled or not. But you know what? It everyone's replaceable, unfortunately. No one wants to hear that. But if it's temporary, like, come on, like, these guys get paid a shit ton of money, and let's get out there and let's do this. You've been waiting for this moment your whole life. So do it. So step up. Like, I don't want to hear about, like, oh, they need a couple of days to acclimate. No. No, I'm sorry. Like, you're there, you're suited up, and like, let's go. There's no excuses. So I don't, so we've been frustrated with the lack of chemistry because the lines are kind of crazy, and then the lack of consistency with the injuries, and then like some really poor plays. I mean, just some really like, what the hell were you thinking moments. The highlight, we will say, the power play, or excuse me, not the power play, but the face-off percentage did look pretty fantastic in 3 consecutive games.
Yeah, and so we'll get into those games in just one second. I do have to say the Wizards were able to win. People get $2 McDonald's burgers, I think. Anyway, but the important thing is we won 108 to 100. An important win over Charlotte because we lost some pretty brutal games earlier. We'll talk about that at the very end of the podcast. But this ends up making it 2-2 for the week, which is a lot better than 1-3. Which if we lost this game, it would have been. So it's an important win for the Wizards, and I look forward to breaking.
They do a McNugget minute as well.
It's not a McNugget win. You get like cheaper burgers if they win.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a goal because it's like everyone makes a field goal in the last minute, so like that doesn't really like that doesn't help too much on that side. So all right, we're gonna quickly go down this recap of the week. We don't have to spend a ton of time on each one of them. I'll
No,
be totally honest, I was in and out in a lot of these games because I was putting kids to bed and a whole host of
life.
other reasons, life and stuff like that. So I did obviously watch all of the highlights or lowlights, so be it. But the Vegas game was disappointing. Obviously, it was an interesting game. So hold on. Well, I mean, real quickly, I will mention to people if they missed last week's podcast. On Monday, October 31st, we did a show and we talked about the shootout as it was happening. That was the opening to our Halloween show,
Oh, okay, cool.
which was an interesting timing to jump into a game, right? So it was
Gil hates
unfortunate
the
to
shootout.
call. Yeah, and I don't like it either, but it was interesting to call it live to start a show. I definitely never started a show that way. So it made the Halloween special in some ways. It's unfortunate that it didn't go our way, but ultimately, that's just kind of a tough loss. And so we're not going to recap that game because that
Okay.
was on last week's show. They can see our live reaction to it. But we will talk about the Vegas, Detroit, and Arizona games. And we'll start with that Vegas game. I'll let you go through the scoring. And I was very frustrated with the ending, obviously. But why don't you break down the scoring for people?
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, I did keep it very abridged. So the Caps welcome the Knights last Tuesday. Mojo scores number 3 with a power play goal at 3:39. Good for him. I'm slowly getting onto the Mojo side, but not 100%. But I'm slowly crossing over. Assisted by Strom and Ovi. The Knights score at 18:55 to tie it up. And then we get TVR with his first goal, which is awesome at 1:01 in the second. But then there we go, the Knights tying it up. And then heading into overtime, 1:35, the Knights score. This was one game I will say that we did kind of talk about in regards to shots on goal for the Capitals and lacking in the 60 minutes of hockey. You're looking at within those 3 periods, shots on goal 6, 11, and then 4. So, if we're not going to put the effort in, we don't deserve the win, even though it is the Knights and everybody does.
It's just frustrating that we took that 2-1 lead in the second,
Yeah.
And I just thought that the game was going our way. I thought that we, had scored first. We kind of let it go at the end. But it was a power play goal. I was going to be fine with that because we just immediately regained momentum. And I watched that Trevor Van Riemsdyk goal live. And then I watched a lot of that third period, and we just kind of fell apart in that third period. We just didn't have that effort. And then it continued to slide into overtime where we lost, pretty quickly into overtime. Just a bad defensive play by Ovechkin. I love Ovi. We'll talk about him and the positives tonight. I am excited that it's episode 288, so it's very fitting that Ovechkin would hit a milestone, on an 8-8 episode. But
Definitely.
yeah, just a kind of a bummer that we kind of lost a lot of mojo, if you will, that we had to start the game at the end of the. But we can get into the next game. I think that's probably all we need to say about Vegas.
Yeah, and I wish we could be like, and then, but womp womp, on to the next one. So Thursday night, the Caps played in Detroit. No goals in the first and the second period was all about Alex Ovechkin scoring at 7:11, assisted by Kuzi. And then the Red Wings tie it up at 14:58. And the third period, there we go. Detroit scores twice, and we had 0 for 4 in the power play. So this was another non-60 minutes of hockey, a frustrating game. And I'm not going to say like, oh, they had to travel, or oh, no, there's no excuses. This was my week of like, I was harsh on the podcast, but harsh as a fan, being like, it's so early in the season and I get it. And, like, hey, cut the guy some slack, as we're only so many games in. And then all of a sudden this week was just like, what the hell? Like, if you're not going to play 60 minutes, we don't deserve to win. So step it up, or what the hell. So that was, and 0 for 4 in the power play. It's like, we're doing better in the face off, and we just can't seem to play 60 minutes or do better in the power play. It's like we just can't get it all, to come together as one. So
I
incredibly
agree with this
frustrating.
assessment because I mean the Red Wings are pretty quick and they have some young talent and stuff like that. But when you score first and you have as many opportunities as the Capitals had in this game, you just got to find a way to convert. But the injuries are really mounting up and frustrating. One thing I do want to talk to you about, I'm not gonna say what Gil and Casey said, on air verbatim, but I was having a little bit of a debate with them that, I'm friends with Janaea and, friends with Caps fans from across a lot of different groups, whether or not those groups agree with each other or not, yet to be seen. But, her take was that, John Carlson being out, we're losing a lot of games, even though a lot of people are blaming John Carlson early on in the games. Gill's response to that is it's not a large enough sample size, and he does push it on the offensive side, but he's still a liability on the defensive side. And so what's interesting to me is his offensive addition outweigh his defensive lapses in a way that's significant to the win-loss, Gil is saying not enough sample size to declare that. That might be true. What say you?
Which could be true for this season so far, but I will say, at fault, or whether some people will say at fault, I support 74. I like John Carlson. I think that when he is on the ice, there is a presence there. I definitely think there's so many people out there that are quick to forget, being a contender for Norris, trophy, and when he's on, and everyone's a huge fan, and this is why we signed this contract. And then when he's not doing well, everyone's ready to, toss him aside. I think that his injury has definitely hurt the game, for right now, for this season. They need the leadership. They need his presence on ice, and I do think that he's missed. So I am a John Carlson fan, and I know Gil and a couple others are not, but I definitely feel like he's being missed right now.
Yeah. So I want to welcome my dad to Twitch chat. Also, Andy's in Twitch
Hey.
chat. So I appreciate everybody for joining in live on Twitch. He was saying "Go Ravens." I got to actually switch one of the Wizards TV to the Ravens one, so I'll do that in just a second. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in on Twitch. And it's tough because it's hard to know, without a larger sample size, how we'll do with him. But I do think that he moves the needle. He does make mistakes, but also I think often he gets a lot of blame for sometimes his, teammates making some mistakes too, because he's on the ice so much, and an ice time leader potentially could get blamed for when other people make mistakes because he's just on the ice more than anybody else. So I mean,
right. I'm not saying he's,
he's not perfect. I'm not gonna say
100% not perfect at all, but I definitely don't think that he deserves kind of the wrath that a lot of people are giving him. I kind of feel like, when someone's injured and they're off the ice, are you like, oh my gosh, I'm truly missing them because they are gone, like a Tom Wilson and Oshie and a Backstrom. I do feel like Carlson does fall in that category of somebody that we are missing his presence on the ice. Is he, he's far from perfect, and I get that. And I know that people are frustrated with his contract, and I get that. But I don't know. I've never highly disliked 74 as much as my co-hosts and friends have. So that's okay, and now, but I will have to say, like, speaking of defensive men, like, what is going on with number 9? Like, it seems like they're awfully quiet about
Oh yeah, and
Orlov.
they always are. Like, what is what is his status? It's just hard to even really know at this point.
I mean, it just seems like he was injured, and then, like, nobody heard anything for the rest of the game, and nobody, like, even on the news today, somebody was saying they still don't have any kind of update on Dmitry Orlov, which I just think is kind of it just seems kind of bizarre because it's like, well, why wouldn't we know? And unless, of course, it is super serious and they don't want to share that. But I'm like, well, shit, we've already out like 8 players. What's another? I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
my gut feeling
God.
is maybe they can kind of sneak it. Oh, talk about sneaking a goal. Unfortunately, the Oilers just scored 4-on-4.
Oh crap.
1:29 left on that 4-on-4. Connor McDavid, I think, scored the goal. He is so fast.
He's so good. It's
Yeah,
sick.
it's very frustrating to play against him. So the play is a seam pass across, and then he just weaves through every single player on our team, gets right to the front of the goal. He starts on the blue line, just skates, goes around Dylan Strome, around the defender, and just
It's
wraps it
just,
around the pad of the goaltender. And so there's
and honestly,
1:13
like
left,
if you didn't
four
tell
on
me it
four.
was McDavid, I would have been like, it's got to be Connor McDavid because that's like the 6 speed and that skill is
Yeah.
it
Well,
is
I was hoping to
impressive.
wear this shirt to inspire Mantha because he's a similar build and he's a certain
Uh-huh.
type of player. I think I'm not saying he's as good as Connor McDavid, but I think he could produce some of that, which is funny that they just threw Mantha out on the next shift. But it's I don't know. He has some of those abilities, but he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
play consistent.
Consistent.
So
Yeah.
like it's frustrating. He seems to take games off, which is
Yeah.
really a bummer. All right, why don't you? I'm gonna have you do me a quick favor. I'm gonna have you go through the next game, the
Sure thing.
Arizona game, and I'm gonna grab my laptop because I need an extra screen. So I will be right back.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So we have the Arizona Coyotes coming to DC on this last Saturday. No goals in the first, and then here we go with Ovechkin getting his 7th with a power play goal at 8:55. And as everybody knows, he did break a huge milestone goal, which has been talked about. And I'm thrilled for fans that were out there, including Grant Green and his fiancee Megan Burrows. Glad you guys were there for that. That's fantastic. Mantha scores, speaking of which, number 39 scores the only Caps goal for the rest of the game, and we lose 3-2. This was rough, Robbie. Like I've got to be totally honest. Like this sucked. Like this just really it just
Kind of happy I
sucked.
missed this game. I'll be totally honest.
Yeah.
Um well, first of all, I had to work an event, so I had, there's nothing I can do about that. I had to
Right.
photograph the school auction, which was very successful, so I'm very happy for my
Good.
school, and I'm the head photographer, and I was the only photographer for this event, so I was very much like focus mode. So I barely could even pay attention to the score or whatever. At one point, I checked the score and I thought we were winning, and then yeah, we were winning 2-0.
Well,
Yeah, we were winning
well,
2-0, and then
yeah.
I put it away, and then I checked it again, and we lost. So
Yeah. And it was like even last night, Gil and I said like, hey, great for the Ovechkin milestone, like fantastic for him. Wish we could have, ridden that wave into a W for the remaining part of the game. But it was so bittersweet. It was like against the Coyotes. I mean, come on. Like, and like we always say, we're never going to assume, we're never going to say like, oh, we've got this team or like this is a shoe in or whatever else. But this should have been like this should have been one that again, had we played 60 minutes, it would have been one thing. It wasn't 60 minutes. And it was just, Mantha did one, but then like you said, like there's that lack excuse me, of consistency. I want to see more. I want to, like come on. And God, it's just so very frustrating. So yeah, this I think was the game we kind of focused on the podcast last night, but I think more out of frustration because it was really fresh in our minds and just wanting to put just like basically had a 45-minute vent session.
yeah, sorry, I'm trying to log into. Hold on.
But I did give a little, I don't know if you heard, probably not, because I don't think you had your headphones on, but I gave a shout out to Grant Green and his fiance Megan, because
Oh,
I'm so
nice.
glad that they were there to see that Ovechkin milestone. Like, it's
Yes,
huge.
I
I
am
just,
happy that they're able to see that. So that's good.
yeah,
I really want them to see a win, which is, be
yeah,
more important in some ways.
100%.
Um, but yeah, well, let's talk about this live game that we're watching right now. So Dylan Strom has scored both of those goals, and in very different ways. The first one, he picked off the other team. So in the first period, there was three or four that were golden opportunities for the Caps that didn't go in. Whether it was off the post, off a pipe.
Yeah.
One of them went like along the entire rim of the, the goal frame, and then fell out, which is frustrating.
Incredibly.
And then Dylan Strome is a great steal on a good forecheck when they're trying to get out of the zone. He not only pickpockets him once but twice. He wants to stick it away. The other guy is about to retain it, and he pokes it a second time, and then he's off to the races, and he picks a corner and scores a goal, which is a beautiful goal. And then the one that we saw here on the power play, which was a great pass down low, where he's kind of in the bump situation in the power play, where he's right in front of the goalie, and he just sort of tips it right past him. So a beautiful goal. And then we talked about it a few minutes ago. Connor McDavid just blurs by everybody and just scores a beautiful goal, and assist by Leon Draisaitl. So who already has 17 assists on the season, and McDavid already has 13 goals, which is
I
crazy to
mean,
me.
my God. And it's like, what are we like on game 14?
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
I mean, he might hit 60 this year, so it'll be interesting
yeah.
to see how that goes. Right now the Capitals are buzzing in Edmonton zone, and we're trying to keep it in, and we do, and we cycle it down low. Kuznetsov is behind the net. He tries to pass it out front, but it is deflected. It's back to the point, and unfortunately, at point they fumble the puck, and so they have to leave the zone and re-enter it. But Ovechkin does in a really cool move. Ovechkin passes to a vacant wing, and then they try to cycle it back. Kuzi shoots it off the side of the net. Kuzi's down below the net, and passes out front. So it's back to the point, and they're cycling game right now, and still cycling. And we'll see how they do. But it's an exciting game. I'm happy that they're keeping the pace. There's 8:15 left in the second period. We don't get to do a live watch along very often. So there's a delayed penalty called on Edmonton. So some great zone time, as I
Yeah.
was sort of alluding to there, leads to them having a stick infraction. I believe it was maybe a hook. Let's see here what the call is. Um,
Hooking. Yeah.
yeah, it's hooking. And so I feel like you're more synced with me tonight, which is nice.
I
Mm.
know. This is crazy. Like, don't jinx it, because then my TV's going to freeze or something.
Right. Anyway, well, that's good. That makes this a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Usually I'm like still in the first period. So this is good. But
yeah.
but this is, I have to say, like, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of loving 17 this season. I was a big Strom, like, wanting to be a big fan going into the season. For some reason, he just kind of stuck out. He's got a cool family history in hockey, obviously, and was just really like, okay, this is someone I want to pull for. Number 7, he's not a 3, but I will pull for a 17. And I've been impressed, and it's nice to see. So I think it's he's, if we're gonna start looking for a little, little sunshine moments, I will take it. Definitely with this one for
So
tonight. It's
what?
good. And I don't know, like, I have no issues with the goalie. I don't
Whoa!
goalies up.
They just took another penalty. This it's a slash, right? He's over there, and or a hook,
Oh,
hold. I don't know.
there
It
we
could be any
go.
of the above. Hooking. All right.
Oh, hooky. There we go.
1 minute and 51 second, 2-man advantage. Here we go. All right, we're gonna do some
All right.
play-by-play here. This is what makes it exciting that we're doing a live show, right? In the second
I'm
period, in
gonna
the most
put,
exciting game. All
Make sure I
right.
can see better.
All right. So there's some passing around the outside. I'm trying to get something to open up. A pass through the middle. Unfortunately, no one was home. Dylan Strom passes across, and it's a goal.
Is that his?
Uh,
Oh,
that looks like it was Kuzi on the backside. He was drifting that way. They were really put people in very different positions on that. I think Kuzi drifted behind the net and was on the left side. I have to see the replay of that.
nice.
I think Ovechkin was behind him, so I think this is a Kuzi goal. Let's see here. So Dylan Strom is to the right of the goalie if they're facing him. He passes across the seam, and there it is, a great goal by Evgeny Kuznetsov. Right
It's
below the
funny.
dots.
I almost said something and I wasn't going to, that I was going to say that I was hearing a lot of negative on social media about Kuzi, and he's a waste, and why do we have him, and he sucks, and all this other stuff. Of course, I don't have that opinion of him. And I really was like, wouldn't it be great to see, him just step up tonight and score? Good for him. God, it's like
Yeah.
he has that talent, and he's another one. Like, get out of your heads. Don't try to be the magician on ice. Just do what you're supposed to do. Shoot the puck, be smart.
This is a
Um,
big
that's
moment right here. There's still a minute and 4 seconds on the single man advantage. So they can have this could be a really big thing. So they're passing it around. They did get a shot off. Oh, it's big. They were able to retain possession. Kuzi shoots it, fans on it. Unfortunately, it goes off the defender. That's a trip. Are they going to call that? They put the whistle away because
my God.
that was a very blatant trip. But
Yeah, it was.
they did call 2 in a row. I get that, but
There's
it's yeah.
okay. Come on.
Right, but you saw
There's
that,
like,
right? There's just like
yeah, I
that. It's
saw it, but I
crazy.
saw
It was,
two.
yeah. But the first one was like really bad. Like the first
I
one
mean, give me a
has to
break.
be called. But I can understand when you get 2 in a row that they kind of swallow the whistle. But wait, yeah. Anyway, so there's 12 seconds left in this power play, but I'm happy they at least converted one. They had to get one in that.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
the second would have been icing
Well,
on
they
the
need
cake.
to, like, this is, with any sport, like, when you're kind of like dumpster fire playing for so long, and you need to
Oh
have
no! Right away they come back and score. Oh,
I'm still
so
delayed. Shit.
frustrated. So a bad turnover. So that it was the end of see, I wish that they had just played it a little bit smarter and put it defense.
Right.
Um and just very, very frustrating. So they basically had the guy come out of the box, and so then they made it a 3-on-2.
Goodness.
And a beautiful goal where he just pushes through both players, pass down the middle, and
And that's it.
yeah, it's just
God.
hard to stop that. So a great play right in the middle, and just easy finish there for Edmonton. Brings it back to 3-2. The 2-goal lead is like the most dangerous lead in hockey. So I really wanted that extra one, but
Yeah.
it's better that they got one and gave up one, because at least they still got one, and it's not a tie game right now. And
And then I think it's important to think that, Edmonton is 7-5-0. So, we're 5-6-2. So we're kind of holding our own in this game. Like I'm
yeah,
happy
especially
so
with all
far
the injuries, but
yeah.
you still got to
And
win some games. If you lose a game like you did, in the last game where you lost to one of the worst teams, you got to then turn around and come and beat one of the best ones if you're going to try to get back into this.
you have to. And like that's why I knew you were going to ask at some point, like, opinions on this upcoming week. Oh my
Yeah.
God, Robbie, like, I legit don't even know how to. I want to say, like, oh, we're to go 2 for 4. Like, I honestly don't know. I don't know what to expect from the team, and I'm kind of hoping, like, if they can pull out 60 minutes tonight, then yeah, we can at least get to 4 games this week. But
It's
if we're gonna do terrible against a terrible team and terrible against a top team, I feel like our odds are just like against us this upcoming week, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm looking at this, and I would be happy if we win 2 out of these 4 games, if you're even
Yeah,
including tonight. So,
right.
yeah,
Yep.
so let's get into the schedule at hand, and then we can break these games down, and then we'll let um we'll let Anna get out of here so she can watch the third period in peace, and hopefully find a way to get us this victory.
I hope so.
So. Wednesday, November 9th, we're playing Pittsburgh at 7:30. The game is also in Washington, and they conclude this 4-game homestand against Tampa Bay on Friday at 7 o'clock. And they're playing a home and home against Tampa Bay, which means they play Tampa Bay
It's
here
so
on
annoying.
Friday, and they go on Sunday to play at Tampa Bay, same time, 7 o'clock. So it'll be an interesting 3 games for us to recap, and then we'll briefly talk about this game as well. So I guess we will recap 4 games, and I'm hoping that both Gil and Casey are able to make their returns to the Sports on the Hill podcast, and we haven't had all 4 of us on one show in a while. I think probably last
I'd
season.
love that.
So that would be very cool. You guys can all watch me watch the Commanders lose to the Eagles live, which is always very frustrating.
God.
Yeah, so we will it'll be an interesting game for sure. It'll be weird because we had Wizards and Caps for both this week and last week live. And then that one, hey, a goal, and we were on the power play. So I clearly missed
Wait.
2. I missed 2 things. One, I don't
Oh
know
my
how
God.
that we got on the power play, but 2, I think it was Ovechkin that scored a goal. So that's good.
Hey.
So let's
Yes, it
see.
was.
Um, this is where it's good that you're delayed. You get to actually watch more of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like,
Uh,
hold on a second. This is a good delay.
a great pass
Sweet.
across Ovechkin from his office, and he just rifles it in the upper right hand corner. So the penalty on that was an interference call drawn by Garrett Hathaway on Cody Cece, who had the interference at 14:31, and they make him pay right away. I mean, we are
Good.
not very far into that power
That's what
play.
they need to
Uh,
do. And I
yeah,
will
so,
say, I don't know, Robbie, like I'm sorry to interrupt on
no,
that, but
go.
when
Yeah,
they're showing the bench, like I have a little soft spot to see Irwin back. I don't know about you, but I think it's very cool to see um him out there. Like I just, I feel like he's just a good guy, and I really hope the best for him this season. It would be great to see, just I don't know. There's just like I just like I like him. I don't know
yeah.
about you. Like in 17, I love Strom and Irwin on the other end. Like I just think he's a good guy. I really want to pull for him this season.
Yep. So Gustafson gets his 6th assist, and Kuznetsov gets his 9th assist on the
Go
season for
Kusi.
Ovechkin's 8th goal of the season. So
There
8
you go. Woo!
for number 8 on episode
8.
288. So I'll take
There you
that, right?
go.
And then he
And
furthers
tomorrow,
that
I think.
record that we were talking about before. Uh, that how many goals he's able to achieve. So that was his 680. Wait, what is? Hold on. It's what is his goal total now? I have it written here. So it's 788 goals. Was that right?
um,
Let's see.
yeah, I know that's terrible. Like there's something I feel like I should just be like I should have it tattooed on me or something. But
Right. Yeah. So he had 787 going into this. So that's great. So episode 288, he gets 788. So that's
I love
awesome.
it.
I like the symmetry there. So and my favorite player. I've had this jersey from before he was a captain. There's not even a C on it. So like it's a very
Nice.
old it was a gift to me by one of my closest friends, and she gave this to me, I believe, in 2009, if you can believe it.
Holy
So
crap!
yeah,
Good.
I've had it for a long time. It was my first like Capitals jersey I ever got. I got it right after I was in college. It was a birthday present for me, which is really cool of her. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so And I've taken it to a lot of games. I even have a lot of patches on it. My Stanley Cup one's falling out. I got to resew it on there. But I've also added the 35-year patch that I got right after it the next year. So yeah, so it's
That's a
4-2 now,
good one.
Capitals, 3:04 left in the second period. Been an exciting game. But real quickly, we'll have 5 minutes to give our thoughts on both the rest of this period, but also Penguins and the
Mhm.
2 games against Tampa Bay. What are your thoughts going into some of those matchups?
Well, God, if we continue playing like this, I will be okay with a win against the Oilers. There's huge chance in that, but knock on wood, I never want to jinx anything. And I do think we can beat Pittsburgh. It's not like it's completely out of the realm of things. You know, they are 4-6-2. Uh, my only hesitation with the coming games is just those back-to-back Tampa Bay games. My gut says we could win one of them, but my God, like that, I mean, it's, 7-4-1. They're going to be here, and then at home ice, Vasilevsky, Kucherov. It's like they just have like this power team going on again, and I would love to see them get knocked down a little bit, but they're just, they're a powerhouse team, so. I will be happy. I know Carol's usually not one that says like, 2 for 4. He's a little bit more optimistic, but I will be okay with 2 of 4 wins this week.
Right. So let's talk about the Penguins a little bit. They have been reeling lately. So they're 4-6-2 actually, with only 2 losses happening in their first 6 games. They were 4-1-1, I believe, through
Mhm.
their first 6. So they were looking good, but they've lost to Edmonton, at Calgary, at Vancouver, at Seattle, which is a tough road swing. They lost to Boston at home. Then they went to Buffalo and lost. They lost to Seattle, and now they're starting another road swing. So they're coming off of
Yeah.
7 losses in a row.
Yeah.
Some of them are in regulation, some of them not. But they need a win, and they've been off since Saturday. So it's going to be a really rough game. They're going to come to town very angry. So
And
we got to
they
be on
are.
our we got to be on our game early, right? I just think that we can't overlook that because they're just going to be desperate for a win.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I will say I'm grateful that it is a 7 o'clock game and not an afternoon game on the weekend, which tends to be not the best for the Capitals when they play the Penguins. I do think that they are, it is the rival, it always has been, but I definitely think there's stronger teams out there. And I think if we can get a win tonight and that just can carry over until Wednesday, that would just be amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
legit would be amazing.
We,
So I
we
don't want
just
to hear
gotta
anything.
yeah, we just
Oh,
gotta
go ahead.
not stop going. We gotta keep the gas on because like
60 minutes.
this team will come back very quick on us. And so we just gotta keep just all that momentum and slide into it. So we're right now in the McNugget minute. There's 15 seconds left in the well, now there's 10 left, but it was
Excuse
all
me.
of the zone time was against the Capitals. The Oilers were just buzzing. The Caps did just get 1 shot on goal right there, but that's the end of the second period right there. The Caps have outshot the Oilers 24-15, and they lead on the most important scoreboard 4-2. All right, so I will let Anna, you give your final thoughts on the home and home against Tampa Bay, and
Uh,
I will give one more shout out for your podcast from today, and then we'll let you go.
sure thing. Well, I will just going to quickly say if we can go into this third period and play all 20 minutes, go Caps. That's what we want. At least we're seeing 60 minutes of hockey up against a very tough team. God, Tampa Bay, like I really am just like whatever happens, happens because I'm not super I'm not excited to play this team. I know they're skilled, obviously, goaltending's amazing. Um, but we could win one of the games.
That's what I think you
Possibly.
gotta hope. I gotta go for that home game,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
then
like if they could
hope
just, I
that
mean,
carries it
ride
forward.
it.
Yeah, I agree. I think hopefully this win they can ride some momentum and let the lines gel and try to figure
Yeah.
this out. And because that's what the key is, we got to let these lines settle down a little bit. They've just been so jumbled, and it's due to injuries. It's not the coach's fault, but that's going to be the best chances to build some of this chemistry here and move forward. But I was able to listen to the first half of your podcast. It was up a little bit late today, but if you go to sportsothp.com and click the podcast partners button and click the Power Play Point podcast, Gil and Anna have a lively discussion about a tough week where they actually go through 4 losses. We talked about
Yeah.
3 of them today, but much more in depth, but also the frustration, the spillover of the fans, but also a very good conversation with both of them. So if you want more Anna and Gil, who's watching this game, I'm sure right now, and he'll hopefully be back next week to give his assessment, definitely check it out. Again, sportsothp.com, podcast partners button, click the Power Play Point podcast for that. We also live on Twitch. Champ just did the command for Anna on that. You can have links that for Instagram, her Twitter, which is anox49 on Twitter. It's aquanox49 on Instagram. Also, if you go to bit.ly/powerplaypoint podcast, but do capital P's for all of those, it'll actually take you to the podcast as well. So lots of different ways. And if you want even more information, she's also on the Team Sports OTHP link on sportsothp.com for even more Anna links, including to
all these Anna links, and I get asked
the
all the
group
time.
chat. Go to the group chat. It's a lot of fun if you are on Facebook. So
and I get asked all the time, is the 49 because that's my age? No.
It's the 49ers, right?
It's the 49ers.
There we go.
Come on. Yeah, there you go.
I know you, right? There you go.
I was like, it's the 49ers. Those are my boys, and like sports nerd forever, but that is always going to be my team. But all right. Well,
you've been a
Robbie,
49ers fan long before you were a Caps fan, right? I mean, you grew up
oh
doing
my
all
God,
that
since
stuff.
1980.
So,
Yeah.
So I won't tell you it's before my born, but anyway, that's there. But anyway, on that lovely note, but I really appreciate you for joining us and being a part of our hockey talk. I'm happy you're back. I'm happy you're feeling better. The cough seems to have been gone, and I really enjoyed this conversation. And we've seemed to, at least during the second period we were live, bring them some luck. So I will take that as well, and hopefully that can carry over into the third. And next week we'll have a full round table, and that'll be a lot of fun too. So I look forward to that.
Definitely. We'll have a fantastic night. Hi, Champ. Hi, Duchesne. I hope he's feeling better. I think he was out last week, and I don't know. I don't want to say go Ravens, but for my football pool, I need them to win tonight.
There you go. You can say go Ravens. I actually live. I don't want to show too long, copyright, stuff like that. For some reason, my TV wasn't showing it, so I have it on my work computer right over here. So I still have that game on. They are winning 14-3 in the second half. Just started. So go Ravens. Yeah, go Caps, and we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely go Caps. Take care, and I'll see you guys in a week.
Sounds good. All right. Appreciate you as always. All right. I will bring in Duchesne and Champ, and I'm going to try to be good and change my graphics right at the right time, like a pro streamer. And